In this video, I'm going to tell you about the 3 ways that you shouldn't cheat in your hobby. Let me start off from the beginning by saying, for the most part, I really don't believe that you can cheat in your hobby. In general, what some people will call cheating, and I'm not talking about the gameplay. You can totally cheat in the gameplay. You shouldn't. But it's not, frankly, all that hard to do in some certain situations and things like that. You can fudge numbers, you can fudge dice rolls, there's all kinds of things, but you shouldn't do those things. Don't be that person, don't be that guy. But what I'm talking about is hobby cheating. I'm talking about like, oh man, you used an airbrush, that's cheating, or you used a dry brush, that's cheating, or that kind of stuff. And I've talked about this before. I made a video about it quite some time ago, Pachow, in which I talked about hobby cheating and how basically it's not a real thing. As long as you're happy with the results, no matter what kind of technology, technique, technical paint, any other thing that starts with tech or really any other word that you used to get to that point, as long as you're happy with it, that's really the most important thing. And there is no cheating in your actual hobby, the building and the painting and all that kind of stuff. Except for maybe these 3. One way to actually cheat in the hobby is if you are painting for a painting competition. There are things you can do that will be seen technically as cheating as you are working with judges and judging and rules. Very frequently in any kind of painting competition, not all of them, but many of them have something known as a rubric, which is basically like a list, like so that paint judging can be a little bit more, objective. What they'll do is they'll be like, okay, well, can you tell that there's been some conversions done? Yes, okay, check mark. Can you tell that there's been this and that and all that kind of stuff? So very frequently when you are painting for a competition to try to win an award at some sort of thing, crystal brush, golden demon, whatever, you usually have to know kind of a little bit about what the painting rubric might be and try to check all those boxes off. If you go, I'm going to paint this and it's going to look amazing, but I didn't do any wet blending anywhere on it, in many competitions that will be a negative to you. And then that is, it's cheating in that you got to maybe an amazing looking thing, which on the tabletop, you always want to get something that looks cool as easy as possible. That's the cheating, and that's really not cheating. But when you get there, and you maybe didn't follow some of the specific things that need to happen generally in competitions. And I have judged really small paint competitions before, generally like at a tournament or something like that. If you are painting at a tournament, right, like you're being judged for your paint job, but it's basically really it's a tournament, then these rules may not quite apply as much. Although even in those situations, like I said, I've judged at some tournaments before for painting, and we still had a rubric. And if they didn't do freehand, well, then they didn't get a check there, and so therefore they didn't get as many points as the person who did do some freehand. And what I mean by freehand, of course, is I don't mean like obviously when you're painting freehand. I don't know how else you would do it with a brush, but freehand in painting lingo means that instead of putting down like a stencil or a water slide decal or something, you actually painted the little thing on there, whether it's maybe some sort of marking for a specific squad, or maybe it's just a cool piece of artwork on the side of a tank or whatever the deal is, or something hanging on a banner, that kind of jazz. So freehand, a lot of times you'll see freehand where you didn't necessarily need it, but it's because they were basically trying to check all the boxes. So if you are going to be doing something, and you have to paint for a competition, you can kind of technically by cheating by not doing all the things you're supposed to be doing. In the grand scheme of things, you're cheating yourself very probably, because then you most likely won't win. So, keep that in mind. You can technically cheat in your hobby that way, but it's not the only way. The last one was about cheating at a competition that has rules and things like that. This is about doing something different. This is about cheating yourself. And what it is it works like this. Cheating is trying to get somewhere to the end of a thing, to win a prize, to get to the end of a race or whatever, without doing the work in between. And so if you've decided, I want to learn how to wet blend, I want to learn how to do smooth glazes, I want to learn how to do I don't know, all kinds of different things. Or maybe it's freehand, whatever. You want to learn how to do one of those things. One of the first things you'll probably do is you'll go out onto, here on the internet, onto the YouTubes and start watching a bunch of videos about it. Now, I will tell you, just as an aside, don't watch too many videos and then not actually do anything with it. Don't just watch. I did this video about the 10-90 kind of proposition, about how you should be spending 10% of your time trying to learn this thing, probably through the internet, and then 90% of it actually doing it, putting bristle to plastic or metal or whatever, and practicing. And that's what this is about. That video, though, the 10-90, pachow. But practicing, or the lack thereof, is, again, cheating yourself. If you've decided, I want to learn, I don't know, like oil paints on miniatures. There's a lot of people who like to do that kind of thing. They like to use the oil paints because they take a lot longer to dry. You can blend them easier. There's all these different reasons. So you've decided, let's do that. So you watch a whole bunch of videos about it, and then you take this big model that you're working on, or this expensive model, or this model you've spent a whole bunch of time on previous up to this point, and now the first time that oil hits, model in your hands is on this thing that you have been spending a lot of time on, or you spent a bunch of money on. You are cheating yourself by not practicing. You should always, especially if you're coming up with some sort of new kind of technique, you should be spending a lot of time using it, practicing it, before you put it onto, final stuff, things that you actually want to put out on the table or put onto a display case or whatever the deal is. Not practicing is cheating. It's cheating, again, yourself. If you think, well, I'll just watch a bunch of videos about it and I'll know how to do it, you won't. And then you're going to, probably mess up a model, and then you're going to be angry at yourself, maybe, but probably you'll be angry at the technique, you'll be angry at the model, you'll be angry at the internet, but really you're cheating yourself. So make sure when you decide, I want to try a new technique, smooth glazing, wet blending, whatever it is, I'm not telling you have to go out and try those things. I rarely ever glaze. I almost never wet blend. And I'm happy with what I've got. Again, I'm technically hobby cheating by just doing dry brushing and washes and glazes with, contrast paints and stuff like that. But if you are like, I want to learn this new technique, just going on the internet, looking at it, and then trying it immediately without any practice on something, that's kind of cheating yourself. And it's going to potentially not wreck your model, because I'm not a big fan of saying that you're going to wreck your model, but you might have to strip it and start over. This last one's maybe a touch esoteric, but it's about cheating yourself out of time. There are folks that I talk to. I've done some videos recently about talking about different types of techniques. I did one recently about zenithal and then using contrast. And there are people in the comments who are saying, well, that's the wrong way to do it. Now, if you think to yourself, I would never do it that way because I prefer the process of wet blending and glazing and doing all these things. I prefer the process and I prefer the output. That's fine. That's what you like to do. But if you're like, no, that's the wrong way to do it, you need to do it this terrible way that I hate doing, and I would like to get it done faster, but I can't do it faster. And that sometimes is the case. And in that situation, you are, again, cheating yourself by making yourself do it a way that you think it's supposed to be done when you could do it another way. Again, if you love the output and the time spent and all that stuff of sitting and working on each little troop that's going to be part of a battle line, that's going to be one of maybe dozens, if not maybe even hundreds in your army, depends on your game, and each one of them needs to be, in your mind, the absolute best golden demon winner kind of output that you can do. As long as you're happy with the fact that it's going to take you 10 years to get an army done, you keep going. You know what I mean? Just do it. You're having a great time. You are spending your time the way that you want to, and you're getting a product that you want to get, and you're doing the thing that you want to do, and that's great. It's when people are like, no, I can't do it that way because it's cheating to do it that way. You are cheating yourself by not giving yourself time when you could be doing many more things. You could be painting 6 models in a month instead of 1. You could be painting, a whole bunch of terrain instead of none because you've just been working on line troops for all this time. You could go watch movies or hang out with your friends or ride bikes or whatever it is that people do when they go outside. I don't know. You could be doing those things if you weren't just saying, no, this is the way that it has to be done. You are cheating yourself out of more hobby enjoyment in many situations by pushing yourself to have to do it the right way. If you don't like the right way, find a better way. That's just, I think, that probably should be on a t-shirt. It's just a situation where you have to figure out what makes you happiest. If sitting and working and blending and glazing and doing all these things on every little shovel in your, Death Corps of Krieg army is what makes you happy, then by all means, absolutely. Mission accomplished. You're having a good time with your hobby. But if you're like, no, I got to do it this way, but geez, I wish it's taken too long, stop cheating yourself and find a way to fix it so that you can go forward and get more things done and make yourself happier. And because I'm a big cheater, I said 3 things I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to give you a 4th, actually. This one's kind of a quickie. Don't cheat yourself out of enjoyment in playing something else that you might want to try out just because, well, no, I play this. You know what I mean? There are plenty of people out there. Let's say you've been playing Malifaux for 3 years and you've got friends that play Malifaux and a group that you play with and all that kind of stuff. You've got 2 crews painted up and all that kind of stuff. But this entire time you're just like, geez, I really would like to play Age of Sigmar. I really would like to push around, a whole bunch of models, like the big spectacle of all that kind of stuff, some big creatures, all that, and the fantasy stuff and whatever. And you just don't do it maybe because you're like, but this is what I do. I play Malifaux and I've got friends that play Malifaux. You're cheating yourself out of finding new things to enjoy by not at least even trying to head in that direction. Now, admittedly, moving from something like Malifaux, where you're using relatively small crews, into something like an army game, like whether it be 40K or whether it's Age of Sigmar or Kings of War or any of these big army games, it's a hill to climb. Let's not be perfectly, let's be perfectly frank here. But the fact is that you can at least try it. You can maybe try it at a local convention. You could go down to your local shop, maybe find somebody, watch a bunch of games, go down that road, maybe start working on it, maybe start building on it. But just saying, nope, this is the game I play. No, I'm a big fan of playing a lot of different games. And some people, again, they don't like it. They are like, nope, I just want to play this one game. If you are absolutely happy playing just that one game, cool. Again, you are winning, and that's great. But if you're thinking, I play this one game, but I'm interested in this, and I'm interested, like if you're a 40K player and you go to 40K tournaments and you play 40K stuff all the time, but you're interested in that Stargrave, or you're interested in, I don't know, something else like a small little skirmish game, that new Silver Bayonet game that's coming out from Osprey about like Napoleonic vampires or whatever. I mean, that sounds pretty cool, doesn't it, right? But you're like, no, but I can't. No, I play this one game, that's it. Allow yourself to try out other stuff and stop cheating yourself from having a good time and finding other things to play. So remember, folks, cheating is never bad, except when it is. And you should always do the things in your hobby that make you happiest, unless those things are cheating during games, like actually fudging numbers or moving models too long or whatever like that. Don't do that. That's just try to have a good time. The game portion, don't cheat. Just have a good time. Try to have fun with your fellow player. But when it comes down to building, painting, terrain, all that kind of stuff, cheat wildly as much as you want. Again, unless maybe you're going to an actual painting competition, then you've probably got to follow some rules. But otherwise, in every other situation, cheat as much as you want. Watch my friend Vince Venturella's videos where he talks about hobby cheating and has hundreds of different ways for you to do it. Pachow. Check that stuff out as well. And remember that it's most important when you are having fun with the hobby. If you are doing something that you don't like, I don't like doing it this way, find a way that's quicker, more fun, something like that you do enjoy more. It doesn't even necessarily have to be something you enjoy more, but if it takes less time, then it allows you to then find and do other things that you enjoy more. That's all the better. It's important to enjoy your hobbies. I don't think I should have to say that. And, sometimes we get worked into kind of a tizzy and maybe don't realize that. So maybe this will help.